Gators. The Florida Gators will be making the trip to San Antonio for the Final Four. And big things going on. We'll be joined by Rob Brown from SEC Sidelines, Brendan Martin, executive producer of Gator Bait Media, and later we'll talk Pro Day review as well as spring football with Florida great Jalen Teez Tabor. All that and more on the Tuesday night edition of the Buddy Martin Show. Tell it like it is Tuesday. Let's do it.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Welcome to the Tuesday night edition of the Buddy Martin Show. I'm your host, Lauren Meadows, joined by Rob Brown of SEC Sidelines and Brendan Martin, executive producer of Gator Bait Media. I mean, it's big news. I mean, everybody knows it. The Florida Gators are going to the Final Four. Defeated Texas Tech by a score of 84-79. Gave Gator fans a little heart attack. And, you know, maybe as things should be, they will face their rival in the conference, Todd Golden's mentor, the Auburn Tigers, the tournament's number one overall seed, defeated Michigan State 70-64. And now we basically have a matchup of what some people think is the best two teams in the country, definitely the two best teams all season in the SEC, the Florida Gators and the Auburn Tigers. So Rob Brown, dream matchup. We probably wanted it in football, but we're getting it in basketball. And here we are in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome for the showdown between the Gators and the Tigers.
Yeah, and they met, March, 2 months ago. And I was listening to Wimp Sanderson this morning on Scarborough Knows podcast on this channel, and
Good
Coach
old
Sanderson
Whip.
said, they were talking about, if you've already played a team during the year, what does that mean? He goes, well, you have tape on them. That's it. And I don't know what it means. That's 2 months ago. Both teams are completely different. In actuality, Florida is actually better. Auburn was really good. Then they dipped, and now they're playing better. They lost to Duke at Cameron first week of December, 84-78, and they beat Houston out in Houston early in the basketball season. Mm-hmm. You can make too much out of beating somebody 2-3 months ago, but you can also make too much out of it if you lost, because then you can start wondering, can you beat them in a match? If you look at the X's and O's, Vegas, they're smart. They got the Gators as a 2.5-point favorite. And if Auburn's guards don't produce the majority of the points, they're going to have a hard time getting a win. Just too many big athletic Gators inside. Nobody else has that except Duke.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Duke and you look at Florida, and even ESPN Bet has the odds, the Duke Blue Devils come in with even odds, Florida Gators plus 280, Houston Cougars plus 500, and Auburn plus 550, which is funny because the number one seed in the tournament has the least favorable odds right now going into the weekend. And I'm kind of with you too, Rob. I mean, and what Coach Sanders has said is, it was so long ago, teams change. And to Auburn's credit, and I'm going to give them a little bit of grace, I really think they got bored. I mean, I think they were on a 21 of 20 game winning streak when the Florida Gators came in. And it was almost like they got up early, and then Florida kind of fought back and took the lead and took control. And it was almost like Auburn didn't recover. In a lot of ways, I would say, if I was looking at it going into this weekend's game, is maybe the Gators may have done Auburn a favor by waking them up in some ways. Now, they didn't face each other in the SEC tournament. Tennessee took care of Auburn. But I think maybe, when it comes to this game, Auburn will not, and maybe you could say, I don't think they necessarily overlooked the Gators, but they didn't really realize how deep that basketball team was. And this was a game without Elijah Martin as well as Micah Hanglogden. So it'll be interesting adding those two to the mix, what could come from that. Brendan, we'll be sending friends out there. I'll be out there. What intrigues you most about this Final Four matchup?
I just don't. I want to see how. I think Fran said it pretty poignantly the last time we had him on with us. Is that he said that I don't think we've seen Florida's best game, and I kind of feel like and everyone said, "Oh no," but I agree with him. I don't think we've seen the best effort from Florida. I don't think we've seen their best game this tournament, and I am interested to see how good they are. I think that's the question to me. I think that's what everybody wants to know, because I think everyone knows Florida's best day. They're going to line up and probably not blow the doors off anybody, but these two games. If they can if they can find a way to beat Auburn, which is not any easy task by any means whatsoever. I mean, they're tuned up and ready. I think it's going to be a very difficult game to win. I don't know if they can get past that. And then, are you healthy enough to then, we know who they're going to meet in the championship. So I don't know if I think this is where we're going to see how good they are, how deep their bench is, and how good a Coach Golden is. I know that's the obvious answer, but to me, that's the interesting part as a sports fan, to see what's going to happen. As Gator fan, I obviously want them to bring it home, but I think they're special. I think Rob was talking the other day just about, like, how young are they, right? Like who does come back, and if they win a natty, do they come back and try to do another one?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and we could definitely discuss that as well, because I mean the roster could be stacked again next year if certain pieces would come back. But that game against Auburn will be Saturday, 6:09 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:09 Central on CBS, of course. And we want to kind of send a shout out, kind of put a bow on women's basketball. The Florida Gators were defeated in the semifinals of the WBIT by the Minnesota Gophers. But early yesterday morning, Kelly Ray Finley, Coach Finley, received a different gift. Her first child, boy, Lakin Mott, was born here in Gainesville at 5 o'clock in the morning. Just want to send our best to, Lakin, his mom, Kelly, Kelly's fiance, Sean, and hope them just the best of luck as parents. First time having a child. So, Kelly Ray wasn't able to make the trip, but the Gators fought hard, lost to a really good Minnesota team that had some big wins, and just another historical season for Kelly Ray Finley. But Rob, another side light to this, or another, intriguing fact, is the health of Janai Broome. Obviously, a lot of the Auburn people, you talk to them, and Bruce Pearl has kind of been, forthcoming with some information that he didn't practice. They didn't practice Monday, didn't practice today, didn't practice Wednesday, or didn't practice today, but maybe we'll look to practice, or won't practice tomorrow. We'll look to maybe practice Thursday there in San Antonio. What are you hearing from the Auburn people? And I mean, if you look at that elbow, I've never seen an elbow and a knee do the same thing on the same play, hyperextension by both. And is the knee? I told, a lot of people are concerned with the elbow, the right elbow, but the knee was as concerning to me.
Just the way he fell, he's going to play. I mean, at this level, I mean, good grief. I can think about stressful situations, high pressure you've been in. You're in the Final Four. And that's why he came back out in Atlanta against Michigan State. And Chaney Johnson, Dylan Cardwell held Auburn. They didn't give up a point. I mean, there was still 10-point differential. Mm-hmm. I have no doubt he'll play. And what I believe is going on, I think he hit his funny bone. And I think he hit his funny bone, and he's 6'10". I ain't 6'10". He is. And when you fall, it's like a big tree falling. It's different. And he's a big guy. But I like what John Brady says on our show. He's got kind of an old man's game. He's tough. And, when he went back out on the court, Pearl and his son, they asked him, how you doing? He goes, I'm good to go. And so get your ass out on the court. My kind of player. And, just like, I think there's two things. What percent is Jai Broom going to be? I don't know. He'll be on that court and he'll be diving for ball. He'll do whatever it takes. I mean, we've all think about it. I mean, you when you got to do something, you find a way to do it. But there's two things with Florida. I don't think Auburn was bored. They knew Florida was good, but the home court advantage. You're most likely to get mugged in your own driveway. I always believe that. They got a little bit too comfortable at home. But number two, when Florida, in my opinion, watching from my perspective, was when Micah Handglockton took the red shirt off and put his team first ahead of his personal career agenda and whatever else like that. Who wouldn't want to go to battle every night with a teammate like that? So that's spread throughout the team. And what Florida has, think about it, Pearl and Golden, they're very close. They both have a culture. Those guys are connected. No Gators going down and not going to come back in the game. It's the same thing. And look, Duke and Houston, a lot of people don't like Kelvin Sampson. I think the guy's a hell of a coach. And they don't have anybody over 6'8" on their team. The average size of the Duke team is 6'8". So,
well, the thing is, did you see Houston put a picture out of their basketball team in the weight room? You don't see a lot of basketball teams doing that. I mean, they got some grown men
they do.
that are strong and like to get after it. So we'll be joined later by Jalen Tabor. Hit that like and subscribe button. Be joined later by Jalen Tabor, who will talk spring football, a pro day recap, what he saw. Florida had their first scrimmage today, I think, to mixed reviews from what I understand. And we'll touch on that later. But first, we want to talk about our great sponsor, Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. And once again, we talk about it. It's that time of year. Meldon Law not only gives great legal advice, but also gives you opportunities to win tickets to different events. Softball, baseball will be going on, and even some things around the Gainesville community. Meldon Law is really tapped in. And if it's a legal issue that they don't help you or not able to help you with, they'll refer you to somebody that will get you the help that you need. So Meldon Law won't back down. Proven and skilled injury lawyers since 1971. And I'm sure we'll see Jeffrey Meldon front and center out there in San Antonio. He definitely loves his hoops. So let's talk about this second semifinal. I mean, we talk about Florida and Auburn, and that's there, but is anybody betting against? I mean, it's kind of funny. Somebody talked about, I think it's been talked about a while. Duke was kind of the hated. It's been, basically since, 1987 or whatever. They've been the hated group through Krzyzewski, now John Shire. You got the names Hurley, Leitner, Hill, Jason Williams, Mike Dunleavy, Shane Battier, Carlos Boozer, you name them. They've kind of been
Battier.
Shane, that's what I said, Shane Battier. But now Duke is kind of becoming the media darling. I mean, I don't know if it's the Cooper Flag thing, nice story, being a Maine guy, see a lot of big timers from Maine, even though he played most of his basketball, at Mount Verde. But, the people in Maine have really jumped into this thing. Do we give the Houston Cougars a chance in this one, or is it just, it is what it is?
If you don't give Houston a chance, you're crazy. But that game think about what Houston's had to go through the last 3 years. 2 years ago, they're a number one seed. Alabama's a number one. They got to go to Legacy Arena in Birmingham and play Auburn. They beat them, but still, this year they're a number one seed. They got to go play Purdue, a 4 seed, on the road in Indianapolis. A little bit of an advantage for Purdue, you know that. And they barely won that game. But then they absolutely put on a clinic in suffocation against Tennessee. I'm not going to – Duke will beat them. Duke will beat Houston. Duke's got too many weapons. And, defense can't win. You've got to be able to score points. Not that they can't, but you want to get into a track meet. I mean, what Duke just took Alabama apart. Alabama hits 25 of 51 3-pointers Thursday night against BYU, and then they could barely hit the side of the wall against Duke. Duke will do that to you. I'm betting on Duke. But again, I picked Houston and Florida to play for the national championship. I'm going to stick with the Cougars.
All right, Brendan, you a Duke guy, or we came up in that
just
era
call me
where
a
you either
Duke
love
guy?
Duke or you hate Duke.
He loves Duke.
I love Duke. I hate Duke.
Yeah,
That's one of the things I've never liked Duke.
yeah. See, that's what I'm saying.
No, I think they're good. Yeah, I think they're good, but I think I bought into the SEC this year. I think I finally took a while. I just think, I think it's going to be the SEC's year. If Florida, I really think we're going to see the champion between Florida and Auburn. And then I think, whoever wins that game is going to win the whole thing.
Okay.
I just don't. I mean, look, I don't. I think Duke's got a lot of great talents, but I look at Auburn, I look at Florida, like I look at the complete team. Yeah, and I watched like during the tournament, you see Elijah Martin come off the bench. You see all these, and Buddy said that, he's like watch who the hero is going into, the Final Four. It'll be guys you never heard of.
Right.
And he's right. And I think, we're hearing the guys we heard of all year long with Duke. We got that, but you're seeing guys emerge in this against Tech and everybody else that are like, who? And if you're not a Florida fan. So,
right. Yeah. I mean, and speaking of emergence, I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about just the improvements of a guy like Tommy Houck, who, followed the Clayton effort with 20 points, but just did all the little things, defending, shooting the three, just improved shooting the three. But his biggest improvement, and in this age of analytics, you guys realize, I mean, you understand this, to go from a 48% free throw shooter as a freshman to now an 80% free throw shooter as a sophomore. I mean, that's 7-8 points a game, for a guy that's going to get to the line the way that Tommy Houck does on the offensive glass and things like that. I mean, he was tremendous. And to stand up and shoot that ball with confidence, it was just amazing to see him be the one when Will Richard and both Elijah Martin were struggling. Condon, I think, was still working his way back in the ankle injury. Aberdeen played fairly decent, but it was Houck, who probably deserved Sixth Man of the Year in the SEC, was the one to really bring it to, okay, who's this guy? And now you're starting to even see him on some draft boards as maybe a late first round pick.
We saw him at 34. Franz, I think, gave that number yesterday. But he's a Pennsylvania kid. Grew up pulling for the Gators. And, Franz and Buddy talk a lot about Elijah Martin. He's from Mississippi. His story is an incredible story. Alex Condon from Australia. And I heard today, I think, when Kevin and Coach Sanderson were talking on Scarborough Knows on this channel, that you go back to Walter Clayton Jr. coming out of Lake Wales, was a 0-star recruit. He's,
4-star in football, 0 in basketball.
but in fairness, that's probably because he didn't get a legit evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, because he's, if you can't, okay, Mark Sears, Walter Clayton Jr., both first-team All-Americans, along with Janai Broome. Who would you want as your starting point guard? Oh, no, Sears is a shooting guard, but who's a more complete player? It's Walter Clayton.
Mm-hmm.
His best guard. He just is. Because he plays defense and he scores, but he's also the kind of guy that'll pin you up against the wall if he doesn't see you giving 110% effort.
Right.
He's an alpha male. I think he and Broome are the two best players in the country. The most complete player probably is Flag.
Right.
I'll take Clayton, man. I'd build a team with him from start.
Well, I think he's definitely, moved himself possibly into being a lottery pick, if not right on the doorstep out of it. But Brendan, you've watched a lot of Florida basketball. We all have. Where would you put Clayton Jr. in the rankings of best guards to come out of Florida? I mean, is he the best?
If he wins a natty. I mean, I guess I always go back to like I go to hardware. I mean, because to me, it's all about what did you do to elevate your team? Because if you haven't, to me, and that's college sports, right? So it's like, yeah, the Tim Tebow's, all that stuff, and I threw that out there, but I'm just saying, a la, I start to say, what did you do to elevate your team, my team, your team, like to bring home something that will be here, after you're gone. Right? We'll talk about you in lore and history. So the only reason I'm going to talk about anybody in history and lore is if you bring home, so
Got to bring
hardware
it home. Got to
trophies,
bring
you got to
home the
bring it home.
banner. Yeah, got
Yeah,
to bring it home.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think I would like to say I'm going to hold out for that, because I think if he wins this national, like if he continues what he's doing and they win, the whole thing, I think you're going to have to put him up there. I think you can make that argument. Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this thing shakes out. Final Four always has intrigue, but I think we all three would agree. I don't put a lot of stock into the close wins for Florida, because I think they ran into three really good basketball coaches and, arguably two-time defending champion against Connecticut. You could argue that Dan Hurley is one of the top 5 coaches in America, comes from a coaching tree that's immense. And then you got Maryland, tough, tough team, got a lot of Baltimore, DC guys, East Coast guys. And you got Texas Tech, gritty, well coached. But it takes me back, and all of us will remember this. And you could correct me if I'm wrong, Rob. It's funny that Duke is in this because I'm using Duke as an example. In '91, Duke had been number 1 all year. They were the best team going into the tournament and didn't really play well those first 4 games and had to have a miracle basically to beat Kentucky there in the Meadowlands. But then they went back.
That was
to
92.
Durham. 92. Yeah. So 92. Yeah. Excuse me. 91, but 92. Yeah. 92 season and 91, 92 season, and went back, regrouped in Durham, collected themselves, and then went to Minnesota and basically took care of business. I mean, in dominating fashion. And that's what I kind of caution people when they were talking about Florida and the close losses or the near shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Let them get back to Gainesville, take a deep breath, and now they got to go win 2. And I think that's where you got to really look at Florida. If they're the most complete team, and everybody kept saying that until about a week ago, that's where getting back, just kind of seeing some familiar faces and then getting back on the road to head to San Antonio could be the best thing for this team.
It is, but 6 days, Sunday until you play Saturday. What I hate, talking about slowing down, is 16, 12, 8, 4, those timeouts. You're running a team out of the gym, and they give these long timeouts. I love to run people in the ground. If I'm in a race or something, that's what you want to do. I have no sympathy. And if I'm a coach, I'm going to try to score every time I have the ball, and I'm going to try to run you into the ground. So you look at Golden and you look at Pearl, they coach mental toughness. Okay. Man up or you're on the bench. You're sitting next to me. What Bobby Knight talked about the other day. What motivates you more than sitting on the bench? And I tell you, Duke, I think Coach K came to Duke in 79.
Mm-hmm.
He was so god-awful. They wanted to run him out of there. John Thompson, he was just ascending at Georgetown at that time. But he struggled to get Duke going. Not that they hadn't had success before, but what makes Florida so strong is that they got better. And you know what? The more these close games you win, you start feeling like you're never going to lose. They find more excuses to win. And so what if they played close games? But they find excuses to win. Danny Hurley, one of the top 5 coaches, he may be a total tool. I think he's the best coach in America, hands down. I'd love to have him as my coach. I don't care. I don't really care about all that other stuff. He's a winner, and he'll get 50 pounds out of a 10-pound sack like nobody else can. he's just that
Right.
good.
Yeah. And I mean, when the draw came out, I knew that would be
You knew it
white
would be.
knuckler for Florida. I mean, it was like
Yeah,
why
and it
it was like
was.
why anybody but them
Yeah.
in the second round. And you know, we talked
Nobody
about
wanted to
we
play
talked
him.
about it on the shows after. We all were
We
there.
did.
It's like
Yes.
they were not, oh, we're the lower seed. They were like, no, we're the two-time defending national champions.
That's
We
right.
got all Americans as well. We got all of these things. If you throw our roster up against Florida, it is as good, if not better, on paper. And we got a great coach and a great formula and great tradition. I mean, like we talked about it. Nobody has probably been better than UConn the last 20 years in college basketball. So it goes on. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was totally concerned about that game against UConn for sure. And shortly we're waiting on Jalen to come on and kind of switch gears. But go ahead, Brendan.
Well, that's a trap game coming out of that. You have a big win. You know, everyone's looking for that potential to go that way. Interesting sidebar. If you're reading the chat on the side here, I don't know, talking about your question about shooting guards at Florida. Have you looked at it over there? I'll put it up over there. Take a look at what you know. Obviously,
I didn't. Let me
Miller,
see in the chat.
Mike
Go
Miller,
ahead. We got
Maxwell and a couple of those guys. But you agree with all that stuff you see in there?
Well, see, I mean, it's tough for Bradley Beal. I mean, I'm a big Bradley Beal guy, but he was only here 1 year, and like you kind of said, I mean, I think they made Elite Eight, which that's a good run. But I mean, Vernon obviously is top notch. Got to give a shout out to Vernon Maxwell. Vernon Maxwell been burning up them airwaves lately. Funny as all get out. I would say that. I mean, these names, Teddy Dupay. I would say that Clayton's definitely better than Dupay. No disrespect. I mean, Dupay lit it up. I think he still might be the all-time leading scorer in Florida high school history. You
got it. Vernon Maxwell, I agree with. He scoring dominance probably.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I think I had it up here earlier. It's average 20 points a game or something like that.
Yeah, Vernon is. I think if Vernon. I mean, I know there were some things with the university, so they took Vernon's records down, kind of working
average
to get
20.2 points a game over his final 2 seasons. So
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it looks like our guest is coming. Oh,
yeah, and he got to run. We got him for a short minute.
All right, is he going to come in? Oh, there he is. All right,
yeah,
so
let's
bring him in right now.
Yeah, go ahead and bring him in. With that, there he is, my man, Jalen Teez Tabor. What's going on? Can you hear? Go get
Yeah.
Somebody's fired up, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How y'all doing today?
Good, man. I need to give you a proper intro, man. 2014, 2016 Gator, 2017 second round draft pick of the Detroit Lions. Spent time with San Francisco 49ers, Chicago Bears, Atlanta Falcons, Seattle Seahawks, Indianapolis Colts, Houston Roughnecks, and the San Antonio Brahmas. Was named first team All Southeastern Conference. And just all around good guy, man. Really getting to know this guy. Loves to talk football. Thanks for joining us, Teez.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about Teez, man. You kind of jumped on the folks at Florida with that nickname Teez. Break that down for us a little bit.
Oh man, it goes back a long way. Probably when we was about middle school. We had this group, MySpace. If anybody remembers back in the day, it was like the first social media. And we had a group called the Easy Boys, and you know my last name is Tabor, so they called me Teezy, and it just kind of stuck from there.
Oh, okay. So you been real positive on this group from what you've seen in spring football and things like that, and we're going to get to that. I know you got to run about 9:45, but let's talk about Pro Day. You and I spent some time talking during Pro Day. I think you were really impressed with some of the things you saw. RJ Moten clocking at 4.5, I think was pretty impressive. Big Dez knocking out 30 plus reps with the wide grip bench, things like that. But what stood out to you with the Pro Day at Florida? Last year was kind of I think it was only 2 or 3 scholarship athletes, but this year you had some big time guys out there. You saw Graham Mertz throwing, Chim DK, a lot of different guys. DJ Douglas did a nice job at safety. I mean, a lot of guys really showed out and did a nice job. What impressed you most about that Pro Day?
I just want to say the group as a whole, like, I don't think this group is gonna get enough credit for, what's about to come down the line. But this senior group right here, we had three, 98, Graham Mertz, 17, 6. All those guys were very, very, very good players and very, very pivotal to what we had going on this year. And so just for them to get kind of the buzz back around town, pro day, I don't know how it was last year, but it was a lot of scouts was in there this year. Just the whole group bringing that Gator that I don't know if you can hear it or you can feel it, but it's brewing. It's brewing.
And it kind of speaks to, we talk about Chim DK 17, Elijah Badger, number 6, guys that I think you were, you talked about, man, they would have been a problem if you'd have had to line up with them. You were pretty impressed with the work that they were able to do. Jason Marshall, had a really good day too. Coming off that injury, what did you see from Jason Marshall Jr., who I think had a really solid day, particularly for somebody coming off an injury?
Oh, he's one of my favorite players in the draft. Being at the University of Florida and watching our cornerbacks, specifically watching our DBs on just, before I was in school and after I came out, it's a long lineage of guys. And, we wear our hard hat at the University of Florida at cornerback. We don't shy away from that. Guys, Joe Hayden, Janoris Jenkins, Lito Shepard, Keywan Ratliff, Vernon Hargraves. I mean, the list goes on and on. And when I watched Jason Marshall, I'm like, this guy right here is he's one of us. He's one of us. He's from the 305. And when you just watch him play football, it's like, this kid, he has something. And it's obvious he's a University of Florida cornerback, so that just says it right then and there. But I'm really high on him, and I think if somebody gets him in the second round, if he slides anywhere past the second, third round, the team should be running to the phones. You're gonna get a 8-9 year starter at cornerback in the league right now.
No doubt. And Rob, I know you've been following the SEC. I know you remember this guy. He got it done under 2 different head coaches. Started out with Muschamp and it ended with McElwain. But I mean, he was somebody definitely that got it done and was a ball hawk and had great ball skills. That was you you had the one-hander against Kentucky going out of bounds, wasn't that with the snag? Was that you?
Yeah, Quincy had the one hand against Kentucky. I had the one against
Vanderbilt. Okay, yeah, that was nice. But Rob, I know you remember Jalen for sure.
Yeah, and you the Gator. I'm an Auburn grad. I think it's criminal that Auburn doesn't play Florida every year. That was a great rivalry, and you're younger. That ended in 2002, but that game was such a measuring stick. And Auburn, Georgia, Auburn, Florida, and Florida, LSU. There's so many great rivalries. But just my perspective, last year on this show, I said Florida would win 8 games last year. And they got there, they got that 8th win in the bowl. But at the end of the season, as a player, I kept trying to say, everybody's got logo fever. And it's a 12-chapter book. You can't skip from chapter 1 to chapter 6. You got to play those games. And I kept telling people, I said, look, I do my show in the mornings on this channel, SEC Sidelines. I'm on this show a lot, with Brendan and Lauren, Buddy, Franz, and everybody. I said, Florida's talent is 9th best on that blue chip index. And I said, those players, just from my opinion, love Billy Napier. And I said, they're probably going to win 3. I picked them to win 3. I said they'll win 2, maybe 3 of those last 5. And everybody said, oh, they're going to lose every one of them. Well, I mean, beating Florida State was like clubbing baby seals, but still, y'all, the Gators came on fire at the end of the season. And I got them picked to win 10 games this year. But I love your – you are – they think that I'm bouncing off the wall in the morning with the coffee I drink. I love your enthusiasm.
Nah, he
talk about that Gator pride.
He's bullish, man. And and when we talk, we talk in practice, and he really has a lot of good things to say about a lot of the young guys.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to talk about next, Jalen. You talked about you're pretty impressed with the young receivers, and we'll get to them. But I want to talk about a guy that kind of came out with some fanfare, kind of came back to the pack a little bit at Colorado, a lot of different things, what happened there. But I think Cormani McClain quietly has really put himself back in the view of those that really know the game, putting on the muscle, adding the speed, and then really buying into what you talked about, that cornerback culture at Florida.
Yeah, Monty, man, he's just him coming out early on, following his career, I guess whatever would happen at, previous stops or whatever. But when I got my eyes on him, when I seen him at practice, this was the first week of last year. So this was Miami week of practice. I went over there. He was on scout team. He wasn't even playing. I said, bro, you got what they're looking for. Like, you are it. I hope you know that. And I just, but just seeing his growth is like from maybe 9 months, man. You could tell he wants it now. He's there. He's there mentally. He's starting to figure it out, and he always had it athletically. So now, now it's like we're starting to see that 5-star, that player, that person that they wanted coming out of high school, and it's really showing. Like, you see it at practice. He's competing. He's being more physical at the line of scrimmage, playing with his feet, playing with his hands, and really being, he's running out there with the ones covering the top guys in practice. So we expect a big year out of him this year.
Yeah, no doubt. And kind of on the flip side of that, the other side of the ball, you've really been impressed with these young receivers. I mean, Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown, the third, and even talk about J. Michael Sturdivant, even though he's not a young guy, but really adding some oomph to that receiver group for sure.
Oh yeah, that receiver group is we got us something right there. Because now we got two who can deliver the ball. And as a quarterback, that's the best thing you need is outlets. You got 13 right there. We got a good 1-2 punch at tight end at 12 personnel with 89 and 86, and now to be able to go to replenish what we're missing with 6 and 17 from last year, to go get all those guys we got right there, those freshman wideouts, is crazy. I mean, I think this class, when it's all said and done, I'll put them in that Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, that Alabama class. When it's, I think we're gonna be up in that, because I mean, VB is just so electric. When he gets the ball in his hands. Then we got Wilson. He's big body outside. I mean, the kid looks like he's a junior right now, and he only been on campus 3 months. Where do we get him from? I wouldn't be surprised. And, I would going into coaching and stuff like that. But to start 3 true freshmen at wide out, that's like, you scratching your head. Can we win like this? Like, I don't know. True freshman. I'm telling you right here, right now, I feel comfortable. If we got to put those 3 guys out there and go win big now, that's how good all those guys are. I'm big on 0-6.
Yeah, and that's Sean Montgomery. We don't want to keep him out. 0. You can tell this guy's a pro guy. He calls out the numbers. That's the way they been in the pros, a long time. Rob, you good, man. That's the way you pro guys do. Y'all the numbers. You call out the number and let them know. But Rob, I mean, that's definitely high praise. You're familiar with that group, Henry Ruggs and Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle. I mean, so to kind of have that on the shelf in that group, to possibly be able to hit that high watermark is already high praise, I would say.
Yeah, and then my bad, real quick. And then we can't forget about Trey Wilson.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. We just talking freshmen. We know what Trey can do for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you're talking about Jerry Jeudy out of Deerfield Beach, Florida, played at Alabama. Waddle was out of Texas, Channelview, and Henry Ruggs III out of Robert E. Lee High School in Montgomery, and Devontae Smith out of Amite, Louisiana. I got a picture of the four of them going on the practice field together at Alabama. And I don't know, he is Devontae Smith, boy, he's $170, wearing a weight belt. He's a hell of a player. But I do like the way you referenced those numbers. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Yeah.
you go back to Trey Wilson. I want you to talk more about him, because you've got an eye for seeing things that I damn sure don't.
Oh, Trey Wilson, that's my favorite player on the team besides the quarterback.
Wow. Okay.
He's such a he's gonna be such a good pro. Like he's just gonna be such a good pro, man. He's quick in and out of his cuts. You just can't. I mean, when you see it, when you know, man, he's gonna be such a good pro. Then he's gonna add that good punt return value in special teams when he gets to that level. He's so quick, lightning quick, and then he wants the ball. Like he wants you to be in coverage, and he wants that. Like, just seeing him like out there, he still got a black jersey on, but he gets his plays, and when he gets his plays, he's always running full speed on routes. Even in the routes on air, when they throw the deep ball in practice, he running full speed. It's like, even he was already good freshman and sophomore year, but now, he's older than guys. He's quicker. He's already better. Now it's just, him getting that timing down with two and everything meshing together. This will be a third year in Nape's offense. So
big time.
Everything should start clicking this year.
Well, before we let you go, man, I know you got about 5 minutes. Let's talk about you. Tell us. I know you back getting your degree, finishing up at Florida. How is it just being around the team? I mean, we know you're having a great time. You could tell, but being around the team. But we want to ask you some things about your time as a Florida Gator. What was if you had to pick your favorite moment in that Florida Gator jersey? What would your favorite moment be?
Man, I would have to say 2016. I think we're like 8-2. We got to go down to the Bayou. Chance to go to Atlanta. We had a hurricane early in the year, so that game is supposed to be at home in the Swamp. End up moving it later in the year to go play them in LSU. Fournette, Geis, Jamal Adams, that crew, Tre'Davious White outside, Devin White, that crew. And we go down there, and it's tough sledding, man. I think we didn't have none of our linebackers. I think JD was down. Long story short, we get into like 3rd and 1. They have been killing us on short yardage. Just LSU. We know what time it is. Like the short yardage goal line. 3rd and 1, we stuff them. Coach Ed Ogeron runs down, calls timeout. It's 3 seconds on the clock. 4th and 1. I think we're up 4 points, so they gotta score. They gotta get in the box. We stuff them. The Gators go home. We get a trip to Atlanta. I just knew they was gonna run that ball.
No doubt. Yeah, we had Quincy on. He basically told the same story. We had him on LSU week, so it was fitting that was his moment as well. Couple of little quick hitters. Favorite NFL city?
Fan wise or city wise?
Favorite. You say, what's your favorite? You give me that.
I ain't gonna lie, man. I would say Chicago and Seattle since I played there. Chicago and Seattle.
Okay. Favorite Florida teammate?
Oh man, it gotta be my man Quincy.
Okay, that's your ace, huh?
For sure.
And then the Final Four is in San Antonio. So if you had to make that 17-hour drive to San Antonio, whose music you got? You got to pick one artist to vibe to for 17 hours. Who we got?
Oh, see, I I'm super urban. I'm super underground. So I'm gonna just throw a name out there. I probably know anybody gonna know, but guy from Baltimore, Maryland, go by the name of YG Tech.
Okay.
So real inspirational. Get your mind right type of guy.
Okay. No doubt, man. So speaking of San Antonio, I know you rocking with the Gators, but what you looking forward to? What give me a storyline that maybe I know the game. Give me a storyline that maybe that in your mind you're thinking about, okay, this could happen in San Antonio to maybe, we know Walter Clayton Jr., we know some of the guards, but who could be maybe that unsung hero for the Gators, you think?
I think that, it's going to get tough. I think Walter Clayton Jr. is going to do his thing. That's my guy. I think he's going to bring us home, but I think it's going to get tough. And I think, he's starting to get up against the good coaches now, the John Shies of the world, what's my man from Bruce, all those guys, Bruce Pearls of the world. Like, these coaches going to start being up to dial up some stuff now, and they going to take, like, one ain't gonna be able to just get the ball and be firing that thing up like that. So it's gonna have to be one of those unsung heroes. But I like our bigs, man. I've been saying that. I like our bigs, man. They play tough, they play hard down low, and they can stretch the floor. They play hard. Our bigs play hard. Watch them boys down low. They play hard. So I think it's gonna be one of the bigs.
No doubt. Well, man, appreciate you coming on, man. Definitely appreciate your time. I know we were trying to make this happen for the last few weeks, but definitely appreciate you giving us your time. I know you bullish on them Gators, man, and we'll definitely you gonna be around for the spring game?
Yeah, I'll be around. You said he went to Auburn?
Yeah, he's an Auburn guy. Yeah.
Oh, ain't that who we played?
Yeah, we play Auburn. Yeah. Yeah.
In the Final
Four. Yeah. Okay. So Rob is my normal co-host, man. But he's an Auburn guy. So we'll be. But I'm gonna tell you, man, I give Rob credit. He's not a homer, and I think Rob been riding with Florida more than he has Auburn. Even though he would love for Auburn to win, but he tells it. We call it
Auburn got a good team.
We call this tell it like it is Auburn Tuesday, and he tells it like it is for sure.
Yeah, and I think. The Gators, 5 big guys, as Fran says, that's 25 big fouls that you can give. And then you got Walter Clayton, Denzel Aberdeen, Elijah Martin. It's just hard to see past that, and they're good. And hey, in Final Four, you say you got 4 number 1 seeds. It's only happened twice, so they're all happened in 2008, UNC, Kansas, UCLA and Memphis, and here it's happening again. So it's going to be a while. And Memphis was up by 9 with 2 minutes left. Couldn't hit the free throws.
My boy D Rose was supposed to get that national title, but yeah, man, we appreciate you, Teez. Appreciate having you on, man. And I'll be talking to you for sure, man. Definitely. Let's get together soon.
Well, thank you, man. I definitely appreciate y'all giving me the platform.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely coming on here.
Yeah, this
definitely a pleasure.
You're a fan favorite, man. This won't be the last. Yeah, for sure.
Great job getting your degree too.
I appreciate you guys' time.
Yeah, good luck.
How close? How much?
Yeah, how much longer you got?
Yeah.
I'll be done before the football season starts.
Good man. Good man.
That's awesome. I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you gonna march?
Thank you. I haven't. I don't know.
Come on.
I'm thinking about it. If my daughter want to come and watch it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Not then. If she don't care.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming on, man. Definitely. I'll be talking to you soon.
Take care. Hey, I mean, you got to march. What's the enrollment on the campus in Gainesville? 35?
Nah, it's more than that. 55, something like that. Maybe somebody. Dan Bond. Call Dan Bond. He'll know. Get Dan Bond on it. He'll know exactly what it is. Our staff writer Dan Bond. Get Dan, but yeah, I think it's like 55. I think or some 60. It's up there, man. I mean, it's a lot of people, man. They So, but yeah, man, just a great guy. Really got to know him, and I'm gonna tell you, man. When you talk to some of these former players, and this is what we talk about on this show a lot, Rob. How people feel about Billy Napier and what he's building. You talk to guys like Quincy Wilson. You talk to guys like Teez and Brandon Spikes. See him every day in practice, and just talking to guys. And where they are, I mean, Brandon Spikes is a guy who he's so impressed with Napier. Don't put me on the field. Give me the opportunity to mentor and help grow these young men. I mean, the total package. I mean, they're bought in, man. I mean, obviously, we talk about it. You're judged by somebody just said it was 35K in 95. So I'm sure it's more than that now, enrollment. But it just speaks to what Napier's building. But it comes down to it. And they had their first scrimmage today. I think it was 50-50, kind of how it went. Obviously, DJ Lagway wasn't full go in it. But they said he did run around a little bit, which is a good sign for Gator fans. But those 12 Saturdays a year, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
As many trips as you take, as many speaking engagements, as many babies as you kiss, it's those 12 Saturdays. And Teez has been a guy that feels like, this is a team that could be what I call a December team now, a team playing in the national playoff.
Well, he's got a good read on the team. You can definitely tell that, calling them out by the numbers. That's what he's looking at in practice. And, coaches, they don't know the players that are sitting in the training room in the ice bath all the time, rehabbing. That's what they're supposed to be doing. Some of them are really not. But I like what his take was on those Gator defensive backs. They're really, really tight knit. There's power in silence and stoicism. The great stoic. That's Billy Napier. You could almost call him stoic, but watch the way his players interact with him. Okay, he's got their back, and they cover for him. He's building a culture. I know there's been some disorganization, too many guys on the field. Go back to any coach. There's growing pains. But you know what? We're in an era now. You're not going to see football coaches fired 2 and 3 years into their tenure. It's over. It's over. Because later this month, the House settlement's coming out. They can't afford to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And and look, money's not everything. A&M's got money. Buzz Williams just left for Maryland.
Yeah. Crazy.
Come on. It ain't just, it's about culture.
Right. And not
campus and coaching.
Absolutely. And so 55,211 right now.
Holy cow.
34,000 undergrads. So you got the law school
16.
And obviously you got graduate degrees and things like that. So, yeah.
Wow. 21,000 grad students.
Yeah.
Well,
roughly. Yeah. Or
A&M, Vanderbilt, and Florida typically have the best grad programs in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, serious. Engineering, there's 3 schools in the South, Georgia Tech, Auburn, Florida. They're all incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
The College of Engineering at Florida.
Right.
It's
well, we
off
talk
the
about
charts.
it. There's a young lady that, a couple of ladies on the softball team that may not be playing as much as they would like to play.
Yeah.
But like I told somebody, and they're like, well, they'll just jump in the transfer portal. It ain't that easy when you get in a Florida degree. You might want to stick it out and get that Florida degree, because my daughter is going to have to really convince me that she wants to go to Kennesaw State so she could pitch 5 innings and leave Florida. So, when you look at a Florida degree, it's up there with all of them. And like you said, shout out to Teez for going, and Quincy both, coming back after their careers are over to get that done. And that'll be big for them. But you talk about, and really just some of the great schools in the South are in the SEC, obviously adding Texas and Oklahoma, just great programs as a whole. And it stands out,
All right, let's think about who are the public Ivies? You know them. Cal Berkeley.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. UCLA maybe.
Definitely.
Florida's
up
there. Florida, I just know this from talking to people at different universities.
Michigan.
Michigan. Florida's one of only 6 schools in America that have a College of Veterinary Medicine, College of Medicine, and a College of Law. There's only 6 schools in the country that can say that.
Mm-hmm.
Florida's one of them.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's powerful stuff. And it's not as old as Alabama or Georgia or Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Hey, if I'm at Florida and I'm playing, I'm just telling you, if you walk from that, you're leaving money on the table. You're a living brain donor if you do
Right.
that. Get
Yeah.
your degree. You can make a living with your hands. You can make
Right.
millions with your mind.
Well, I think, and Rob, this is another conversation. You and I talk about it,
Yeah.
but we can touch on it. Just because the transfer portal was there doesn't mean that every kid is going to use it. And just because the NIL is there does not mean every kid is going to use it. A
Yeah,
lot of kids
I agree.
cannot, and I maybe I'm going to use this term. This term sounds bad. A lot of kids can't be bought.
No.
And every coach, because they
just
may
nailed it.
waive, you look at me, we talk about these teams. Duke isn't for everybody.
No.
Definitely Kelvin Sampson ain't for everybody. Bruce Pearl ain't for everybody.
I like Kelvin Sampson.
I do too. No. I'm just saying though that you and I both know you see basketball players. I mean, you get around and you could say, that kid can't play for Kelvin.
Yes,
And it's like people couldn't play for Bob Knight. Some people couldn't play for Coach K. They could be as smart as they wanted to be, but they couldn't play for Coach K.
Yes.
And so I think that, as the narrative continues, this whole thing, well, so-and-so got offered this much money by this, and they're just going to pack their bags and leave. There are people that are they need to be in a situation with a Napier, with a Bruce Pearl, with a Todd Golden, a Kelvin Sampson, a John Shire, a Hugh Freeze, where, and I know but I'm just saying they're in a situation where they're most comfortable and no amount of money is going to drag them from that or the school that they're going to. So, with that, we'll talk about Titan MRI. Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. Don't want to say newest anymore, but no insurance, no problem. No appointment, no problem. Claustrophobic, no problem. They have the big beds, make you feel comfortable, and Titan MRI doing big things, Lake City, Gainesville, and I think soon to be opening Ocala location as well. Titan MRI and imaging, now under new ownership. Scan the QR code, tell you all you need to know about Titan MRI. And Renstar Medical Research, a superior medical research facility, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. So here we are, Rob. We'll talk again, but I mean, it's Final Four time, one of the best times of year. And, we'll see what happens between the Florida Gators, Auburn Tigers, and the Duke Blue Devils and the Houston Cougars. But give me your winner. When we get on the show Tuesday night, who's gonna have the trophy heading back home?
I'm sticking with Florida because remember March 16th, I had to pick my Final Four on Scarbo's Maiden Voyage podcast on this channel. I had Michigan State, Florida, Houston, Alabama. Florida plays Houston. Florida cuts down the nets. That's what I'm sticking by. But I think one thing that's going to happen, I think you're going to see an emergency session called here soon by college administrators, people about NIL. I talk to people that are involved in these things. People are getting a little bit weary, and good things are going to happen, people. Conceive it, believe it, achieve it. But I think the Gators are going to win the whole damn thing. And I think that Hanlockton guy, I know Walter Clayton's the best player. I don't know Micah Hanlockton. But if you don't love a teammate like that, you don't know anything about life. And I will say this about Todd Golden. He has a future career as a head shrinker sitting on the couch. He's so laid back. He does not get phased.
Right.
He is like Mr. Perfect, but he can coach his ass off. So yeah, I'm sticking with Florida.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb. Obviously, Florida to win. Will Richard, he's due. Will Richard, he's due. One dribble shoot, Will Richard. So, but we'll see what happens. I'll be out there. Looking forward to it. Rob, appreciate you being on. Rob Brown, SEC Sideline Sports, Brendan Martin, GatorBaitMedia.com, and appreciate our guest, Jalen Teez Tabor. With that, we'll say good night. Tell it like it is Tuesday on the Tuesday edition of the Buddy Martin. Have a good evening.
Thank y'all.